422 at this point, but I do plan on scheduling that legislation for a vote at a future date. At this time, I would like to remind everyone that the meeting is being recorded, and I'd ask that all members and guests please silence your cell phone or any other electronic devices you may have with you. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Cox,
Present.
Dush,
Here.
Ecker,
Present.
Fee, Irvin,
Here.
Kiefer, Keller,
Here.
Plunk, McKenzie,
Here.
Maloney,
Here.
Gorski,
Present.
Nelson,
Here.
Carrick,
Here.
Schemmel,
Here.
Walsh,
Here.
Harkins,
Here.
Cephas, Donatucci,
Here.
Kruger,
Here.
McNeil, Miller, Don Lee, Mullery,
Here.
Nielsen,
Here.
Ravenstall,
Here.
Snyder.
Do we have a quorum? Thank you. All right, and I would remind members if they do have to leave, please leave a proxy with me or your chairman if you are of Mr. Harkins' affiliation. At this point, we'll start off with House Bill 280, and our first order of business is a bill sponsored by Representative Lee James, and I'm going to ask John Scarpato to now provide a synopsis of the bill.
Okay. Under current law in the unemployment compensation system, unemployment comp service center makes a determination on eligibility when someone applies for benefits. From that point, if one of the parties disagrees with the decision, the determination, there are 3 levels of appeals. Right now, a claimant or an employer have 15 days to appeal a service center determination to a UC referee, 15 days to appeal a referee's decision to the UC Board of Review, and 30 days to appeal the board's decision to the Commonwealth Court. What House Bill 280 does is amends the Unemployment Compensation Act to increase the time allotted for appeals of a service center determination and the appeal of a referee's decision to from 15 to 21 days. So both of those first 2 levels would be 21 days. And this is a neutral change that would give more time to both claimants and employers.
Thank you. And at this time, I would like to offer Amendment A00154 to House Bill 280. John, can you explain the amendment? Sorry.
House Bill 154 amends the effective date, so the changes would take effect when the Department of Labor and Industry publishes a notice in the Pennsylvania Bulletin that the benefit modernization project is complete. Essentially, this is to avoid, since they're in the middle of that project, the department requested this change to avoid having to make those changes to the current legacy system and the new system at the same time, and potentially delaying the system and adding additional costs. So that was a change that was agreed to by the prime sponsor and Chairman Cox.
All right, thank you. Do we have any discussion on the amendment? All right. Can I get a motion to adopt the amendment? Representative Dush is moving that the amendment A00154 be adopted, and I saw Representative Nielsen seconding the motion. I want to try this in my first voting meeting. I think we are good. Do we have any negative votes on the amendment? All right. Hearing none, Amendment A00154 is adopted. And we will move on. Is there any, I have no other amendments that I've received at this point, so I'd like to ask, is there any discussion on the bill itself? All right, this could be easy. All right. Can I get a motion to report the bill? I'm sorry. Yeah, we do need a motion to report the bill as amended then. Representative Kruger. Representative Kiefer seconds the motion. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and ask if there are any negative votes. All right. Seeing none, House Bill 280 is reported from committee as amended. Our next order of business will be House Bill 425, and our prime sponsor on that is Representative Ryan McKenzie. Didn't see where, he's right behind me. I'm going to ask Representative McKenzie to briefly address the committee on this bill. and then Shannon Walker, committee staff, will provide a synopsis following Rep. McKenzie's brief address on the bill.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to bring up House Bill 425 today, also known as Career Bound, and it's a school-to-work program that has been introduced by myself the past number of sessions. This session, it's a slight variation on previous iterations of the proposal, and so the impetus for the bill is that we know our employers across the Commonwealth are facing a workforce shortage and a skills gap when it comes to the employees that they are looking to hire. And this is something that we've been focused on for a number of years. Thankfully, there is a greater level of awareness and interest in actually addressing this issue now in the legislature and the executive branch. So I think it's timely that we're bringing up Career Bound. The program will bring together our three very important stakeholders from workforce development boards, our school partners, and business partners. They'll be able to work collaboratively in a way that we can give our program partners more informational resources, give our business partners the opportunity to develop those relationships with schools and the local workforce development boards, and also, maybe most importantly, give students the opportunity for career exploration, especially focused on high priority occupations. The variation from previous sessions is that this is just what I would call the programmatic language. The part that we have removed from the legislation is the tax credit and the funding provision. That's something that we are looking at and working with the administration, other stakeholders in the legislature to figure out the best way to fund this. And so that's something that we're going to take up as this budget process moves forward. But again, it's important that we move this programmatic language so that we can have something in place to actually discuss funding for in the coming months. So I'll conclude there and welcome any questions. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman.
Shannon, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Sure, that was very thorough, but I'll throw a little bit more on there just to solidify it. So this bill, offered by Representative McKenzie, establishes Career Bound, which is administered by the Department of Labor and Industry, to facilitate that relationship between the workforce and development boards and all of the schools, businesses, and local trade organizations. So the program itself hasn't changed much from the past sessions. They may apply to the Department of Labor and Industry to participate in Career Bound, and in that application, they need to outline their program, which needs to be centered around those high priority occupations and meet the curriculum requirements that are outlined in the bill. And then all of those stakeholders, so the Department of Labor and Industry, the Pennsylvania Department of Education, DCED, Community Economic Development, and the statewide Workforce Investment Board will approve the programs based on that available funding. And as Representative McKenzie outlined, the funding is a little bit different this session, so you can use funds deposited from the reemployment fund, existing funds that are appropriated to the department that are contingent and appropriate in law, and any additional funds that are appropriated to the department specifically for Career Bound.
All right, thank you. At this time, it's my understanding that Representative McKenzie would like to offer Amendment A00156 to House Bill 425. And I'm going to ask Shannon to explain the amendment, if you would.
Sure. So this amendment offered by Representative McKenzie just makes a number of technical changes in order to modernize the language a little bit and bring it into compliance with the Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act.
All right, thank you. Do we have any discussion on the amendment? Now, you know you're going to spoil me to this, and I'm going to expect this at every voting meeting in the future, so.
Not spoiled yet.
All right, well, thank you. So can I get a motion to adopt the amendment? Representative Eckert and Representative Donatucci seconds the motion. Again, going out on a limb, do we have any negative votes on the amendment? All right. Hearing none, Amendment A00156 is adopted. And at this point, I would like to state that there are no other amendments that have been filed to the bill, so I'd like to open it up to discussion on the bill itself. Do we have any discussion, questions, or so forth on House Bill 425 as amended? Representative Nielsen?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm sorry to ruin your perfect record today. However, today I am going to be opposed to the bill. I supported this bill in previous sessions because it was not using any Commonwealth dollars or taking any of the taxpayers' money to use it for certain things. It was all through business and tax credits. Previous hearings here and discussions we had, we talked about soft skills development. That's one of the criteria in this legislation, which is going to teach kids how to work ethic, promptness, how to do it. It's going to pay for school trips, field trips to different businesses around the Commonwealth. And I don't want to lose a dime of any taxpayer dollars to pay for any extended school trips, which is outlined in the bill as part of the criteria to get funding under this legislation. Like I said, I supported it in the past. However, this time I couldn't. And it's not, Representative McKenzie and I had a lot of discussion on it, and I just don't feel right at this time to do so, because I'm not paying using dollars that are supposed to go for workforce development to pay for school trips and the soft skill developments, which I think should be learned at home. And why it just leaves it leaves us open for abuse of state funds, because we've seen it in the past. I have, being from the city of the first class, that a nonprofit would get set up and would take the tax dollars, and all they'll do is do class trips. And that's not what this is for. It was a good bill. I'm sorry, I just can't in my heart funnel state taxpayer dollars to pay for soft skill development, to teach a kid how to go to work and how to be on time. I can't do it to support school trips, extended school trips, which could mean weekends. I can't utilize this when we need a workforce development tool. Now, I understand some of the workforce boards and some of the unions support it. However, at this time, I cannot support it, and hopefully I'll keep on trying to educate myself, and maybe I can do it on the floor. But today I can't, so I'm going to be your negative vote today. I'm sure I'll be by myself. However, I just want to let you know that prior to taking a vote. Thank you, Chairman.
Well, my secretary and administrative assistant appreciate the opportunity to call out all the names of the committee, so thank you for that.
You don't have to. I can be the lone vote. You could just, you can do the all positive, and then I'll be the lone vote, I'm sure.
I may choose to do that. Representative McKenzie has expressed an interest in responding to your concern.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to address Representative Nielsen's comments, first of all, the legislation that we put forward, as discussed, does not actually include any funding at this point. So it is just the programmatic language. Again, we're still trying to identify the proper source of funding. Tax credits had been proposed in previous legislation. As we saw and Shannon discussed, we're leaving it open-ended as to where the source of funding would come from for this proposal. To address the concerns, personally, I have a difference of opinion than Representative Nielsen. I think that soft skills training is something that's very important and needed for our new employees that are coming through middle school and high school. This is a time in their life when they're developing their experiences and their knowledge base, and so I think going out to these job sites is a very valuable experience for them. They need to learn and understand what it's like to be on a job, what the expectations of their employer are going to be. I think these are great things that we can expose them to early in their career. So you're not going to find somebody who's probably a stronger fiscal conservative than myself. I very much value the responsibility that we're given to guard taxpayer dollars and make sure they're used effectively and efficiently. But I do think this would be an appropriate use of funding. And as we see, many school districts in instances across the Commonwealth already do things like this with tax dollars, and I think there have been some very good examples of how they've been successful. And so I think this is an effort just to expand those opportunities for more students. So again, I would encourage all the members to vote in favor of it. And respectfully, I disagree with Representative Nielsen. Hopefully we can continue that kind of conversation and persuade him maybe to get on board on the House floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative McKenzie. And like I told you, we had great discussions, and today we disagree, and hopefully moving forward I can agree, as I did put on the record earlier. It's just a little disagreement, and that's what we're here to do. That's a democracy.
All right. Thank you both for your input on the bill. Is there any other discussion or questions regarding the bill? All right. I'd like a motion to report the bill as amended. Representative Maloney, and a second. Representative Piskarek seconds the motion. And other than Representative Nielsen, do we have any negative votes on this piece of legislation? All right. I would ask the administrative assistant to report or to let the record reflect that we have one negative vote. The remaining members support the bill and its movement out of committee. As I mentioned at the start, House Bill 422 is going to be held over for the day. I would ask that if there's any other business before the committee. All right, seeing none. I want to thank everybody for being here today, those of us who's joined us in the audience. Before we leave, I would like to embarrass a couple people that have joined me from my district, and I won't embarrass the other two that probably don't want to be embarrassed. But joining us from Conrad Weiser High School is John Rivera. John, can you stand up for a moment? And also joining us is Cameron Kavanaugh. He is a senior at the Wilson School District, another district in my legislative district. So I want to thank you for joining us today. And we also have another guest that Representative Klunk would like to address.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have my intern in my district office, Cooper Rebert, here. He is a senior at Southwestern High School in my district. Thank you.
Thank you. And we also have a special guest with Representative Mullery.
I would be remiss if I didn't embarrass my daughter, Lauren, who is here. She's a junior at Holy Redeemer in Wilkes-Barre. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Bring your friend to work day. All right. At this time, I'd like to point out a few things we have going on next week. The Labor and Industry Committee is going to be very active next week. On Monday, we're going to be having a voting meeting on House Bill 785 at the call of the chair. That will be in this room. On Tuesday, we will be having a hearing. We'll be hearing about the workforce development audit that was recently completed. And so we'll have an opportunity. That'll be Tuesday at 9:30 in the Majority Caucus Room in the main Capitol. And then that is actually a joint hearing with the Commerce Committee. So we'll be hearing from them together. Then on Wednesday at 9:30, we'll have a hearing on House Bill 349. And that is in room B31 of the main Capitol. So I hope as many of you as can make it will join us, and I do ask all of you to provide input on any of those bills between now and then. We'd love to hear additional input on it as we go forward. Don't necessarily have to be a testifier at one of these hearings to provide us information about a bill in which you have interest. So please feel free to reach out to me or another member to do that. At this point, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.